lady aren't so glad we found you. We're sorry we were not here to defend you.
Gideon, look after Lady Julie. I'm going to find Nora. It was Doug's wish that I defend her with my life.
Understood. We'll patch her up and bring her around.
Vaughn, I'm so glad you're here.
As am I. I'm relieved you're alright, my lady. If something had happened, well, Wait, what's this tunnel?
It's a secret passage. It's been here since the castle was built. I used it when I was young to sneak out and play with the horses. It leads directly to the castle stable, and today it's our way out.
Wait, do you hear that?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the 8th episode of the Medieval Rimworld series. Today, there's no lot to talk about at the beginning, but we are going to prepare to act on Denna's advice from a couple of episodes ago and begin to prepare to mount an expedition far in the south to Dux's old fortress. So today we're going to focus mainly on finalizing some armor and perhaps doing a couple of trades for some weapons or caravan animals. But without further ado, and speaking of preparing our armor, we finished our chain armor research from the last episode. We will definitely be using this today. With a continued focus on apparel, we would also begin research into complex clothing to give us some extra apparel options. Furthermore, between episodes, I actually went through and finished off a lot of our apparel policies, so our people will now be wearing something that actually suits their character. But to build all of this new armor, we're going to need to gather more iron, so we're going to get another mine shaft set up here, so we can have our mining characters continue to dig. It would take a little while to construct, but once it was done, we put our people to work straight away. And finding a place to store all of this new iron would be pretty easy, as we added some barrels just outside of the workshop, where we could store everything. During all of our mining escapades, we would finish off the complex clothing research. I'm going to have to go in and update the apparel policies again. Fun. On to more interesting things, and perhaps a bit mysterious. A strange asteroid seems to have impacted in our area. It seems to be made of some sort of bright blue ore. I remember last time this happened, a dragon attacked us shortly after, so we should prepare for anything. Regardless, we're going to begin to mine it, and it began giving us this strange metal known as sky steel. Bjorn recalls that this kind of metal was typically crafted for weapons of military leaders and nobles throughout history. And on the topic of crafting armor and weapons, we would begin to put our chain armor research from earlier to good use by having Ryo craft some hauberks, and create this falchion blade with the sky steel we collected earlier that we'd give to Edmund. I also thought this was a good time to use Edmund as an example of one of our apparel policies that I put together. This is a sort of light armor set for our soldiers. I think it looks pretty good with the ideology colors. As a quick side note, we held a conversion ritual for our prisoner Blue. We want to try to get some of these prisoners recruited today so we can start a proper mining camp in the hills. Thankfully, it seems that we will be able to do that as the conversion ritual was masterful. Great work, Tico. The next day, we got word that there's a raider encampment nearby that the chief of the tribe of Chol wants destroyed. We're not friendly with the tribe of Chol, but we'd be happy to check out this for some camp loot. We sent out a big group, including Edmund, Brydon, Danders, and Nia. Thought it was time to give some of our non-magical characters a chance to shine. Their journey would take a couple of days, travelling through the dense forest. The caravan eventually arrived and surveyed the camp, spotting the 4 raiders defending. Wonder what's in that building though. We would move into a battle-ready position, attempting to a tactical advantage on our enemies, but they spotted us before we were ready. It seems they have a shaman or lightning mage that has deployed a lightning totem, damaging us while we cut down the 3 raiders. This pesky magic user managed to escape though, running off the map. With everybody gone, we'd begin looting and managed to find a couple of interesting sculptures. One of them was made of gold, so it's no surprise that they had such a powerful magic user defending it. Moving back home, I had laid some plans for a temporary new prison building. I want to demolish the old one soon and build a much stronger prison out of steel or at least stone, sometime in the near future. However, the construction was halted by a raid from the tribe of Chol, just after we thought we were getting along with them by them sending us that message about the raiders. Either way, these guys are a Thromboian tribe, which is something we haven't really looked at so far in this series. I have this mob that adds the Thrombo people. They're kind of a cool xenotype, and they're a mix between a Thrombo and a person. All of our warriors around here would take battle positions, launching Ernest's magical wolves to begin damaging the enemy from a distance. Now, here in this battle, I made a bit of a mistake having everybody charge in at the enemy, thinking it'd be easy to take them down, as they had already been damaged a fair bit. But I forgot that the Thromboians have this Thromboian Fury ability that bolsters their melee abilities quite significantly. In the mix of the battlefield, multiple of our people were downed, but thankfully I fought them off and began to tend all our corners straight away. We also captured this one raider known as Reba. Name suggestions would be appropriate, as that's going to be a pain to say. Perhaps something more mystical or magical would be cool for him. He's a really good social character, so for us, we're going to convert him and maybe use him as our new priest. Once we had managed the situation at the hold, our caravan would sneak up on a hunting camp that we decided to attack on the way back home. One of their people looked like they had this giant arrow, but apparently it's something called a fletched javelin. Just so it looked a little bit weird, so I thought I'd show you guys. Javelins aside, we would move in, getting into position, but they spotted us and would once again begin to rush in. Seems our little group isn't the sneakiest. Near, Edmund and Danders all took down their first opponent with relative ease, moving on to those that were now fleeing. We would take what we could from the camp and headed back home. It was around this time that this Fora had finally joined us, her being the dirt mole we captured a few episodes ago, giving us our first really good mining character to send off to the mining camp. We also noticed that the sky stayed dim when we were expecting the sun to begin shining, and even got darker, filling some of our colonists with an eerie sense of fright. With some time, it got really dark around the colony now, yet our people continued to work, only to begin hearing terrifying screams coming from the mountains around the hold. I can only imagine the fear our caravan would feel climbing through the mountains back to the hold, as it's the middle of the day outside of the valley. They would enter, hopefully this calms some people down. Now that everybody's here, if there is something that lurks in the darkness, we can defend ourselves against it. Danders remarked that as he was coming in, he thought he saw something moving in the trees. It seems our caravan had arrived at just the right time as some Alps were spotted emerging from the shadows. They invoked a deep sense of dread in our people who had decided to stay in their homes and prepare to fight. Our people would bunker down for now, but a couple would stick their heads out and herd the beasts in the trees, causing Ernest to spirit wolf it. From there, the carnage began to break loose. I'm not certain what happened in the south, but I'm assuming Icemore, the Law, Nora, and Danders dispatched the Alps in the area, while up in the north, one had knocked Edmund out with some sort of magic, prompting Nia to begin battling it. Once this creature was downed, Edmund would take revenge, executing it for good measure. We can't leave these monsters alive. The thick haze of the night before didn't leave straight away, but did dispatch in the morning, allowing our people to breathe a sigh of relief. Now that the area was safe, it seems a white dragon has wandered in and began looking for food. Now, I should note real quick, at this point in the series, I probably won't mention any animals like this unless we actually end up taming them. This will be the last one, as it did end up leaving the map. But while we missed out on this dragon, we did gain the prisoner Blue, who has now joined us and has made our mining party full. We would have Mart, who we've known for a couple of years now and trust greatly, lead this expedition to start the mining camp. He may come back once it's set up, but we're going to send him out for now. He would take a buffalo and plenty of supplies, and the caravan would set out. Arriving a few days later, we would establish the site, choosing to begin mining gold ore for the colony. Now that this site has been settled, we would return our sites back home, finishing our magic site refining research, meaning that we can delve into some magical items soon. I may have forgotten to mention that we were researching this. But first, another kind of magic, the magic of childbirth, where Chantilly's and Kiko would have their first baby together, having the third boy that we have in the colony, temporarily naming him Robert, as I'd love some name suggestions for this kid in the comments. And looks like they've thrown him on the bedside table. It's just great parenting, guys. We also finally finished converting our prisoner Vreba, which I wouldn't usually mention, but in this case it allowed us to reform our ideology, giving us the ability to dragon bond, which I think is a pretty natural progression with Icemorked hanging around. We then had a small raid from the Divine Order, which we dispatched really quickly. We would strip the dead of their armor so we could smelt it down for more iron to craft our own armor. We also real quickly took this prisoner named Dick, and here come the age restrictions. We're gonna call him Richard instead. On a less controversial topic, we decided to delve into some baking research, allowing us to build a bread oven in our kitchen, accompanied by a millstone that would allow us to grind up some flour. I think we really need a larger kitchen at this point. I also just wanted to take a second here to show off some of the armor we've been making. Now, I accidentally used some of the sky steel for some heavy hauberks. We're going to paint these as I really don't like the blue color. I don't think it fits with our faction. I will also be playing around a little bit with the colors, so don't be surprised if they look different at different parts in the video. And speaking of this changing, Dux was changing from a toddler into a child, gaining him some passions in crafting and medical as well. He also picked up the fighter trait. Now, to get back on track with our plans of journeying to Dux's old fortress soon, we would need some caravan animals that we would have Bryn, as well as Nia, Edmund and Icemorth for protection, go and trade forth. When they arrived at some of the nearby cities, the first city didn't really have anything, but at the second city we were able to find some yaks, and at the third that we traveled to, some buffalo. We'll be taking these back and breeding them to hopefully build up our caravan transport. And while our caravan was away, it appears another white dragon has wandered into our area. Our initial attempt to tame it was unsuccessful, but we'll keep trying. With our new magical research and all the magic around us, we decided to start a small building for magical related things in the northwest of the base. This may become a wizard's tower of some sort in the future. But of course we're going to meet an arcane crafting bench in there, so that's going to prompt us to start the research. It was around this time that we also finally converted Larry, the Painful, having Valor release him back into the colony, where hopefully he doesn't cause any more trouble. Maybe it was seeing that somebody like Larry could once again join us with all of the pain that he is. Our other prisoner, Jalise, realized that she too wanted to join us and became a member of the colony. And following on from Dux earlier, we also had a growth moment for Carson. He would gain passions in social and animal skills, as well as picking up the good hygiene trait, because he's a nice clean boy. Although, as Rakornus, they won't be clean, they may instead be dirty, with blood, due to the dragon that's attacking us. It had downed Ernest, prompting all of our other melee fighters to begin rushing in. I worried that without our magic or Icemore here that someone may be damaged heavily or even die, but I think our new armors were really holding up as nobody got taken down or had any serious injuries. With the dragon being taken down finally, we would get some medical attention on Ernest as he really needed it with all the dragon bites and slashes that he had taken. Now, this actually happened a bit further along in the timeline, but I wanted to bring it up now as we're already on the subject. We decided to rescue the dragon, having Danders do it. I believe this caused it to tame and bombed to Danders, who actually has a terrible animal skill, so he definitely didn't tame it. I was hoping that saving it would end up causing it to tame, but didn't mean for Danders to be the one that bombs with it. Regardless, we're going to get it a nice little bed next to Icemoor and move it in so it stays nice and warm during the winter. I'll also need a name for this new dragon in the comment section, so if you've got one, please go ahead and leave one. Jumping back slightly, Vreeber decided to join us, which means he needs a proper name as well, so if you could leave one in the comments, that would be great. We want to put his good social skills to good use, making him our new priest, allowing him to take the role from Kiko, who only ever really had a mediocre social ability. One thing before we wrap the episode up as well that I wanted to mention was that we had a quest for an Animus Stone that we'd use for the Duranlin, which I'm hoping to focus a bit more on in the next couple of episodes, as I've sort of neglected it recently. This quest was just for taking out some bugs. I feel like killing bugs is kind of boring, as we've done that a fair bit recently, and they're also just really easy. But with that out of the way, I want to thank you all for watching. Apologies if this episode is coming out so late. I've been testing one of the new mod packs I have for a future series, and have just been very, very busy with work as well this week. I want to thank you all for watching as always. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.